Hey, Zach here. I started my own online business and was able to grow it to a point where I was able to quit my job and leave my career and work online full time. I'm not here to sell you a course or anything at all. I really just want to share my story. I just hope to be inspiration to help people start their own journey to take that leap to do something for themselves and to live life on their own terms. If you want to learn more about what I do every day, follow me on Instagram, check out my newsletter. But today I want to share why I left the restaurant industry after over 13 years. So I started in the industry right out of high school. I went to college at first. I was studying for exercise science. I thought I was going to be a physical therapist or a chiropractor or something along those lines. I started working in a restaurant part time as a busboy, and I kind of enjoyed that, and I really didn't enjoy what I was going to school for. So college didn't last for me very long the first time around. I dropped out after 3 semesters and then started working in the restaurant industry full time. Working in restaurants was fun. It was fast paced. I made some friends. I met some really cool people, and I was making like pretty good money for my age. I was like 18 years old and making pretty much a full time income, and that was really cool. I always saw college as like that's what you're supposed to do to go get a job and make money, and then in my mind, I had a job and I was making money, so it all just kind of made sense to me then. I was able to move around different positions in the restaurant. I learned how to serve. I worked expo shifts. I learned how to do to-goes, and I helped bar back a little bit too. So like I kept learning new things and I was making more and more money and I was having a lot of fun. So I decided I was going to take a break from school, but I never really had any intention of going back. I was making money and I felt like I was on the path that I was supposed to be on. After about 2 years in the industry, I started bartending and I loved it. Bartending was so much fun. I It was everything I wanted. I got to work with my hands, which I never realized that was something that I really enjoyed doing, but like working with my hands and working in a fast-paced environment like that and being able to be creative is what um really brought a lot of energy to what I was doing. I was just really excited. I was in a job where every single day was a new experience and I learned something every single day. Over time, I wanted to do more and more. I wanted to get into management. I wanted to get into the aspect of like running the whole place, running the bar, running the restaurant, being like in charge, I guess. I had aspirations to do more than what I was doing. An opportunity opened up at the job I was working at to be a manager, so I applied for it. I thought I had a really good shot at getting it, but they ended up giving it to another server who was older than me, had a lot more experience. It just made sense that they got the job over me, but I was like pretty upset about it because I that's what I wanted to do. But I was 20 years old. Like, of course, I wasn't going to be a manager at this fancy hotel restaurant. I needed to give myself a leg up for like the next opportunity. So I did end up going back to school. While working more than full-time hours, I was going to school online. I completed my degree in business administration with a concentration in hospitality management. I figured that was the way to get a manager job in a restaurant. I thought that would really help me out, give me a leg up at, my young age and give me some more opportunities to do what I wanted to do. It's really funny though, because looking back on my life and my career, I think the biggest regret that I will have was going back to school. I'm not saying that you don't that no, nobody should go to school, but for me and my situation, going to school was kind of just a waste of time and a waste of money. I spent a lot of time and money on this piece of paper that ultimately did nothing for me. And the way my life is going, it probably won't ever do anything for me. But that's okay. It was an experience and you live and learn. When I finally did get my first management job, I realized that like they didn't even ask about school. They didn't even care whether or not I had a degree or not. They just wanted to know about my experience. And that's when I realized that experience trumped everything in the restaurant industry. It didn't matter how much schooling you had, it didn't matter what kind of certificates or where you went to school. It was all about where did you work and what have you done so far. Like I would have gotten that job without the degree because I had the experience and the skills to do the job. Like ultimately I realized that every management job I've ever gotten had nothing to do with my degree. It was all about my experience and what I was able to do and the skills that I was able to bring to the table, not the piece of paper that I earned. Anyways, I spent years learning everything there is to know about working in the restaurants. And I worked in bars, event centers, anything to do with hospitality and food and beverage management, really. I was 25 years old managing a beverage department at a casino. I was working a lot. I was exhausted. But I really just thought that was part of the grind. I thought that was part of like that's just what you did. You know, you work hard, you work for the next promotion, and eventually you're gonna make a lot of money and maybe you'll work less. I kind of just kept working as hard as possible. I got promoted at the casino a couple times, but the more promotions I got, just the more I worked, and I realized that, the money started to not really be worth it. I was kind of stuck in this corporate environment where there was too many politics, if you will. There was just a lot of red tape to go around on anything you wanted to do. And I was just like, I was unhappy. I was tired. It just wasn't a good time. I stopped having fun. And I don't know at what point I actually stopped having fun, but I just knew that I wasn't enjoying that anymore. And at the time, I blamed where I was. I blamed the corporate structure. I blamed everything other than like the career I was in, basically. So I looked for a way to leave. I knew a friend who was opening a bar in the city nearby, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'll go help open up a new place." When I was at the casino, I was a part of a couple restaurant launches, and that was a lot of fun. That was some of the most fun I ever had. Working in restaurants was opening a new place. You get to set things up fresh for the first time. New menu training. It was all just like so much fun. So I thought that would be really, really fun. I went there saying that I was just gonna bartend and I didn't really want to manage. Within about a month, I was the bar manager there. It's funny how that works out, I guess. But I still had that drive to do more. I still had that drive to be creative. And I enjoyed where I was at the time. I had a lot of fun. I got to make my own cocktail menus, get really, really creative with some really cool things that I've never done before, and I think I did a really good job with it too. Looking back, that was probably the most fun I had at a job. But I was still working a lot. I was still, long hours, late nights, not a lot of sleep in between shifts sometimes. But, I was used to it. That's what the job is, right? About a year or so after that, I got an opportunity to be a general manager at a winery nearby. I was over the moon. I thought my dreams were coming true. The goals I had always set for myself was to be a general manager by the time I was 30, and I was 29 years old being offered a general manager job. Like, I was ecstatic. I went to check out the place. It was like the coolest spot I've ever seen. It's so beautiful there. The people were cool, the food was good, the wine was good, everything was great. And they closed a lot earlier than any other place I had ever worked. So I thought, maybe my late nights and long hours were over with, which they were to an extent. But the thing about managing in general, managing people, but especially managing in a restaurant in this industry, is the job doesn't really change just because you're at a different spot. The bullshit is still there, the stress is still there, you're still dealing with stuff constantly. You're you're still working long hours even if they're not as long as they used to be. I remember looking back and saying that a 55-hour week was like a short easy week. And looking back on it now, that's still a lot. That's still like that's just unnecessary. I was still there, 10, 12 hours a day, and if I wasn't there, my phone was still ringing, I was still checking emails. There were still always things that needed to be done. But very rarely was I able to completely unplug and completely just check out of the job, no matter where I was. If I was on vacation or just home, the job never ended. It took about a year into that role that I realized, knowing that, everything kind of stays the same no matter where you are, I realized that I needed a change. And I realized that maybe this just wasn't for me anymore. I realized I wasn't having fun. I realized I lost interest in the things that used to really bring a lot of energy to me. I lost interest in the menu design. I lost interest in the cocktails. I lost interest in the idea of making people smile. I just lost it. I just didn't care. The passion, the fire just wasn't there anymore. And I had to kind of like look deep in myself and think about like am I just gonna go do this again somewhere else and let the same thing happen over and over again? Or do I need to do something completely different? And I realized I needed to do something completely different, but I had no idea what that was gonna be. What I knew, the only thing I knew was that I needed to leave that job to do something where I was able to really evaluate things and not have as much responsibility, not work as long hours, but still, I still needed to make money. I still needed to pay my bills. So I left the winery. I went back to a restaurant that I knew some people at. I got a bartending job there. And I told myself I wasn't going to be there for more than a year. I told myself I was going to start looking for a way to do my own thing. And, online business had always been an idea. I never really knew what to do. I never really knew how to start. I really just had no clue. So I tried to start with kind of just working on myself and learning about myself. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped drinking so much. I started reading more. I started exercising again. I started going hiking a lot. That first few months that I left my management job, I hiked. I forget what it was, but I hiked like over 50 miles in just a month or two. It was crazy. It was awesome though. I want to get back to doing that. It's been a little bit. Anyway, I started looking for opportunities to be able to make money online. The digital nomad lifestyle, van life, traveling. That was stuff that always appealed to me just because I loved hiking, I loved nature, I loved exploring the world. So I figured, let me try this online business thing with no idea of what actually to do. I tried the first thing I ever did was I tried affiliate marketing using like Pinterest posts with like a link in it, hoping that that would like create traffic and people would buy from the link and I would get commission from that. That didn't work. I did a lot of posts. I barely got any views. I got no sales. So I realized, okay, maybe that's not it. I got into a multi-level marketing business. I learned a lot throughout that process, but over time I realized that just that just didn't connect with me. I just didn't feel like that was the genuine thing I was gonna do. It just didn't feel right to me for a long time. I think I tried to pretend that was the right way to go for a while because I saw so much success around me. And I felt like the success I wasn't seeing was simply just because I wasn't doing enough. But eventually I realized that I don't think I was doing enough because I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do, even though I tried to force myself into it. So eventually I realized that that just wasn't it. And I had to kind of really just completely disconnect from that altogether. I tried faceless Instagram accounts, I tried affiliate marketing, network marketing. None of it really worked because I didn't have any skills. I got into some mentorship groups and like they helped, but I think there's the people and the vibes just didn't connect exactly the way I needed for where I was on my journey. And I don't know. I think that was a big part of it. It's really interesting making connections with people on the internet. You feel so disconnected with them, but there's also like a level of connection that's different than face to face where like you really need to get along with that person on a deeper level to be able to work with them and connect with them online just because there's a screen in between you doesn't take away the human aspect of it, and that was a big thing that I learned and why I realized what direction I needed to go with starting my business. It needed to be about me and it needed to be about what I could do for somebody. Throughout that process though, I reconnected with an old bartending buddy and he was kind of starting the journey of what I was trying to do, but he was a little farther ahead. He had developed some really important skills that I didn't realize were kind of the framework and the foundation of building an online business for yourself. He had learned video editing, he had learned sales, he had learned copywriting. So I looked at him and I'm like, dude, can you teach me how to edit videos? And he was ecstatic about it. He was like, yeah, yeah, for sure. He helped kind of push me in the right direction of, I needed to buy a new computer. He helped me with what to do with that. He he told me what programs he uses. He told me what effects and stuff like that he uses. He helped me. He helped me by, like, sending me content of people that he was working with for me to practice editing stuff. He gave me feedback, he showed me things that he did and why he did things the way he did. It was really, really helpful, and I will be forever grateful for to him. I think in the beginning, he didn't realize how serious I actually was about this until I showed him my receipt for my MacBook Pro. I remember he texted me, "Holy shit, this guy's serious." But I was serious. I was really, really serious. I was determined. I knew that this is something I had to do. I had to invest in myself to one extent, and then I also understood that I couldn't half-ass the things that I deemed important. So I couldn't half-ass the equipment that I needed. I couldn't half-ass the programs I used. I needed to go all in, and that was part of me going all in. So I was practicing a lot, I was learning a lot, but on top of all that, I really, really focused on my physical and mental health. Um, I was reading, I started meditating, I was working out even more. I was not only focused on learning how to start a business and learning these skills, but I was focused on like becoming the absolute best version of myself that I could possibly be. And that's an ongoing journey. I'm still not there yet, but it's something that I'm working for every single day. So one day, I was working at the bar and I heard that one of my bar guests needed a video editor, and I damn near shit my pants. So I tried to keep my cool and I told them I might be able to help, and we set up a meeting. And the rest is kind of history. I'll be forever grateful for this opportunity because this was the first time I was actually able to make any sort of money working online. Not only was I able to make money, but I was able to continue learning new skills, and I learned so many things that I didn't even know that I was gonna learn. I learned about copywriting, I learned about sales, I got to practice video editing more and more, and I started learning website design and using Canva and just all these other little nuances and programs that I didn't realize that I still didn't realize at the time that were really, really important to online business. And so I kept learning more, I was making some money, and things were going really, really well. I started making more and more connections on the online space through people that I was meeting, through people I was working with, and I was getting busier. I had to start to cut back on the days I was working at the restaurant. And I realized that, everything that I'm doing right now is exactly what I need to continue to do. Continue to grow my skills, continue to meet people, continue to offer my services to people, and eventually I was going to be able to replace my income from my bartending job. I didn't stick to my 1 year goal of working at that final restaurant. I ended up working there, I believe it was like 1 year and 9 months. So I didn't reach that goal, but I still reached my final goal of getting out of the restaurant industry. And I know that is the last restaurant that I will ever work in. And it's the most freeing feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. So after all this time, a few things that I've realized are really, really important when people are starting and trying to figure out how to get into the online space and get into online business. That all of these things out there that say, make money online, make money without having to work, only make money on your phone and you don't have to do anything, the faceless Instagram thing. Maybe it works to an extent, but to build something sustainable, I don't think it works. At least it didn't work for me. What works is building skills and using those skills to make money online. So after all this time, after about, call it 2 years, I was able to go full time. I was able to work online full time, and I still have so far to go, but for the first time in my life, know that I am actually living my dream. I am able to work when I want, where I want. I'm able to travel when I want to. I'm able to do things on my terms. And I'm officially a digital nomad. And it's so crazy to think about it. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about what I'm doing and my everyday life, follow me on Instagram. Check out my newsletter and subscribe for more content like this.